Okay, class, picking up where we left off, we were supposed to take the fifth root of both sides, and then after we took the fifth root, we would have an approximation here of 1.878 would be approximately b, and our final answer would be y is equal to a would be 3, b would be 1.878, and it'll be to the x power. Actually, I didn't need this extra parenthesis, but this would be to the x power. And this is the final answer for A. Now we come to B. We have 330, 9, 7. Now this problem is a little different than A because we do not have the y-intercept. So what we would have to do here is we would have to take the equation that's given to us, y is equal to ab to the x, and divide it by y equals ab to the x. Now to distinguish between these two, we will look at both of these ordered pairs. Whichever one has the highest x value, that is the ordered pair that you would use for the numerator. The lowest value you would use for the denominator. So here, 9 is the biggest x. So here our 7 would be y. 7 is equal to, we don't know what a is, we don't know what b is, but our x would be 9. Divided by, we will have 30, which would be y, is equal to, we don't know what a or b is, but we know our exponent for x would be 3. So now we divide them. We will end up with 7 over 30 is equal to, these a's will simplify out, b to the 9th divided by b to the 3rd will give us b to the 6th. So we would take the square root of both sides, and we would end up with approximately 0. Made a slight error here. It should be the 6th root because we're trying to get rid of that exponent of 6. So that will leave us approximately 0.785, which would be approximately b. Now we have to go through and we need to solve for a. So we could use either one of these ordered pairs. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use the first one. So we will have 7 is equal to a times, we know b is approximately 0.785, and our exponent would be 9. Now, we would divide each side by 0.785 to the 9th power. And we would end up with, if we divide this out, we would end up with 62.106, and that would be approximately A. So our final answer would be y is equal to 62.106 times 0.785 to the x power. Now listen, if you put this in your calculator, it's actually going to give you 61.84 or something like that. But listen, one thing you would need to do if you want to get this 62.106, you would have to do, instead of 0.785 to the 9th, you have to take 7 divided by the 6 root 7 over 30. But this is how you would get the 62.106. Now, we scroll on to the next page. Number 10, it says some values of functions f, g, h, and k are provided in the table on the right. Decide whether each table graph represents a linear function, exponential function, or neither. Find the possible equation of each function. Now, one thing we don't have to do here, which is great, we don't have to really check the x's out for all of them because all of the x's are the same. And if you notice, their only difference is by a positive 1. So that shouldn't be, too bad of a situation here, because now with just our x's, we could either go with the exponential function or the linear function. Okay, now we go over to our f of x or our y. Okay, now to go from 30 to 26, we know we're subtracting 4. To go from 26 to 22, we're subtracting 4. 22 to 18, subtract 4. And 18 to 14, subtract 4. So we know that this is linear. So this is linear. Okay, now we go here to go from 5 to 15. Now, from 5 to 15, if we're going to use addition or subtraction, we know we would add 10 here. But from 15 to 45, that'll add 30. So we know we're not dealing with a linear function here because they would have to be the same consistent value. So now let's try the exponential function. So that's with multiplication. So 5 times, we know, times 3 will give us 15. So then 15 times 3 will give us 45. 45 times 3 is 135. And 135 times 3 will give us 405. So this is exponential. I really doctored that up. So it's exponential. Okay, so we have an exponential function. Now we come here. We come to the next value. From 2 to 3, we would add 1. From 3 to 6, we would add 3. That wouldn't work. To go from 2 to 3, we would have to multiply by 3 halves. And then from 3 to 6 would be another 3 halves. That wouldn't work. So that would be neither. Okay, now we go here to our k of x. We have 96 to 48. Now we know we would have to subtract 48. 48 to 24, we would subtract 24. So we know that doesn't work on the linear front. Now we'll try the exponential front. 96 to 48, we know that that's half. So we'll multiply that by half. 48 to 24 is also multiplied by half. 24 and 12 is multiplied by half. And 12 and 6 is multiplied by half. So this is also exponential. Okay, now we go down here to 11. It says 4 exponential functions of the form y equals ab to the x are drawn below. Which function has the largest value of a? Now, if we look here, the largest value of a, we would have to say, if we look here, remember a is our y-intercept. So all we have to do is look on our y-axis. Which one hits the y-axis the highest? And that would be g of x. So g of x has the highest y-intercept. So that is why g of x has the largest value of a. Now we go to b. Which functions have values of b that are less than 1? So what we would need to do in order to see b, remember b deals with what we would commonly know as the slope or what's being multiplied by it. So in order for this value to have a value that is less than 1, we would have to take a look at the graphs. That when we read these graphs from left to right, we would have to see which graphs are going down. Now, when we go from left to right, we notice that g of x is going up. We notice that h of x is going up. The only two graphs that are going down is f of x and k of x. F of x and k of x. And then it's because their graphs are decreasing. And a is positive. Now, I will tell you this. When I looked in the back of the study guide, it had f of x and h of x. H of x was actually incorrect. It's supposed to be k of x. So that needs to be changed in the back of your answer key. Now we come here to C. It says, which function seems to have the smallest value of b closest to 1? Okay, so we need to explain that. Okay, when we look at these graphs here, if you notice here, g of x is the shallowest. It's not as much of a change in g of x as opposed to the rest of these values here. So g of x is the answer, and that is because it has the shallowest graph. Okay, class, now we start number 12. It says input-output pairs of 4 exponential functions are listed in the table below. Complete the table and find each exponential function. Now, we did something similar to this function here, this table here, back in problem 9a and b. Remember in 9a, we had the y-intercept and we had 1 point. So we have the y-intercept, which is 0, 1600. And we have 1 point here, which is 2, 100. Now remember, our A is our y-intercept, so our A is 1600. So we'll have y is equal to AB to the x. Now, we would take this ordered pair here, and y would be 100. We have our A, which is 1600. We don't know what B is. And we have our x, which is 2. So we'll divide each side by 1600. And we will have b squared. We have 100 over 1600 is equal to b squared. Now we would take the square root of both sides, and that will give us b. The square root of 100 is 10, and the square root of 1600 is 40. So this would give us 0.25 is equal to b. So our equation here would be y is equal to 1600, 0.25b. I mean 0.25 to the x. Now all we would have to do is substitute in our values, and then we could put in the missing points here. But what I want to do before we do that, well, let's go ahead and do that. We put in 1 for our x. We would basically be left with 1600 times 0.25, which will give us 400. So when x is 1, y or f of x is 400. Now when x is 3, we would have, that would give us 25. And when x is 4, that would give us 6.25. Now that would take care of that first column here. Now we have the function or the equation, and now we want to fill out the rest of these. So each one of these are different. So what we need to do is this here for g of x, h of x, and k of x. This is the same as 9b. Remember, 9b did not give us the y-intercept. So this is how we would start off. Let's do g of x. So we have y equals ab to the x divided by y equals ab to the x. Now we'll substitute in the values. Remember, we take the value that has the highest x value. So it'll be 3. Let me write the ordered pair. We'll have 375. That'll be one ordered pair. And then our other ordered pair will be 115. 1 comma 15. So now we substitute in those values. So we have 375 for y is equal to ab to the third power. All over, it'll be 15 is equal to ab to the first power. Now, these a's will simplify out. We will have 375 over 15 is equal to b to the third over b to the first is b to the second. 375 divided by 15 is 25, and that equals b to the second. And we would take the square root of both sides.